How's it going, guys? So I've been wanting to make this video for a pretty long time actually. To be honest, I don't know how to do an opening for this video, so I'm just gonna get straight to the point. What is the number one way to learn Japanese that I don't think anyone has ever told me, because I kinda thought about it by myself. Let's get straight to the point. What is the number one best way to learning Japanese? And that method is talking to yourself. Yes, talking to yourself. I know it sounds crazy, I know it sounds alien, it might not make sense to most of you, it didn't make sense to me at first either. And to be honest, this doesn't only just apply to Japanese, this applies to any other language that you could be learning. Actually, I first used it when I was learning English, for example. Back in, I think it was middle school first year. Back then my English wasn't that good. Yeah, it was still better than most people, but I really couldn't speak that well when it came to English. The reason why I even thought of this way in the first place is because back then I was really shy. I really didn't have that many friends, and because most of my friends were Chinese, we would just speak in Chinese, so why would we even practice English with each other? Our English teachers are all Chinese people too, so we would talk to them in Chinese as well. So the reason why I I wouldn't say invented it, but I've asked many people and they have never, ever said about this method, is because I wanted to practice English and I had no one to practice it with. So I used it to practice with myself. So for example, let's say I'm watching the Apple keynote for now. Let's say I'm watching WWDC 2019. I'm looking at the brand new Mac Pro, the new Apple Pro monitor, XDR, whatever it is. And for example, I would look at those things and I would think to myself, and I would have many thoughts, right, about the products and stuff like that. But because I have the desire to discuss with other people, but since I can't do it with any other people in English, I would talk to myself. So I would role play with myself. For example, I would do it like this. Oh man, this new Apple Pro Display XDR really is expensive, but I guess it does kind of make sense if you think about it. I mean, it is for the pro market, like people who make movies and stuff. Yes, it costs $9.99 for the stand as well, which is kind of stupid, but in that context, it really doesn't sound that bad. So that was an example of what I would do when I'm practicing in the language that I want to learn. So for example, in Japanese, it would be something like this. このモニター高そうだね。こういうもの買う人いないと思うんですけどね。まあでもApple はそもそも私たちみたいな普通のコンシューマーとか消費者とかプロシューマーとか向けなものを作ったんじゃなくて、プロフェッショナルの人向けに作ったものだから、こういう考え方を変わったら結構普通合理的にだと思うんですけどね。So yeah, that was an example of how I would do it in Japanese. Now, I don't really do it that much in Japanese, and the reason for that is because I'm living in Japan right now. I use Japanese all the day. It's pretty much the only language I speak. For example, I come home and talk with my roommates in Japanese, right? I go to school, I meet all my friends, I talk to them in Japanese. I go shopping, whatever I do. I go to work, I always use Japanese. It is the only language I use on a daily basis. That's why I don't need to use this method in my case. But I did somewhat use it a little bit back when I was in Malaysia, because I don't know if you guys know, I've been learning Japanese for 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 years? This is the 5th year I've been learning Japanese, and for the first 3 years or so, I learned by myself. I bought textbooks, I learned the grammar by myself, but again, at that time, I wasn't really good at speaking. What I would do is I would just watch anime and pretty much repeat what they say. And that's not a really good method to learning, because a lot of the times the Japanese they say in anime, it's really outrageously, I don't know the term for English, but it sounds chunibyo. It's not words that Japanese people would usually say. They don't use that type of Japanese in real life, and I can attest to that because I have been living here for a year, and I have never heard any Japanese talk like those in anime, right? It's just for acting. Back to my point, like I said, just talk to yourself. Yes, it may seem weird. Yes, other people might judge you for being like, why are you speaking Japanese to yourself? Why don't you just find a partner? Why don't you just go to Japan or whatever? Yes, there are many ways to like improve your Japanese, I know, but I mean, this method, for me at least, is the most effective, because if you're like an introvert like I am, you're not really good at talking with other people, you can use this method and it really works well. Now granted, if you do want to use this method, it does require you to be, you know, somewhat fluent in Japanese. I would say you would need at least like an N4 or N3 level of JLPT, because if you really don't have that solid base knowledge of Japanese, there's no way you're gonna talk to yourself in Japanese. Same goes with my English. Back then, my English wasn't that wasn't that good, but I still had like a solid foundation for building upon. Let's say you're just starting out in Japanese, yes, you can still work it, it still works, but I wouldn't say it's as effective, because again, you don't have enough vocabulary, you don't know enough grammar to like form proper structures, sentence structures, so it would be really hard for you to do that on your own. And in that stage, I would say you really do have to like, at least if you really don't want to like speak to any other people and practice with them, you need to at least like up your vocabulary and grammar game. But to be honest, I really do encourage you guys to speak more Japanese. It doesn't have to be a Japanese person. You can speak with other friends in Japanese. You can speak with your like relatives or whatever who, you know, might be fluent in Japanese, or maybe somewhat conversationally competent in Japanese, right? For me to get to this level of being able to speak Japanese conversationally, it took me at least like 3 or 4 years or so. And I'm not saying you should just, you know, go out and start learning Japanese and think you can, you know, be fluent in 1 year or 2. It's impossible unless you are a genius, which I am not. Like I said in the beginning, or did I say it? I'm not sure. But again, this method worked really well for me. I'm not sure if it works for you. I'm not sure if it will actually even do anything for you, to be honest. A lot of the times I wanna, everything I see, everything I look at, everything I watch, after I finish that, I would be like, you know, I have a lot of thoughts about this particular topic, subject, or whatever, and I really want to discuss with someone else. And if I do feel like discussing it with some other person, I will do that. But most of the times I would just maybe like look at a movie or live stream or whatever, and I'll just talk to myself, because honestly, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but you are your own best friend. Yes, you might not be perfect at speaking Japanese in the start. No one does, right? I sucked at speaking English at the start as well. Casey Neistat, if you guys know the YouTuber Casey Neistat, he's all about just doing it, and I really do, you know, admire him for that. Just do it, guys. Just do it. Talk to yourself in Japanese. You will see a huge improvement in your language ability. Trust me. If it doesn't work, fine. Okay, you can still do it the traditional way, or you can go to websites like Hi Native, which is also a really good way of doing it. Like, you pay a monthly fee and then you can hire teachers to, you know, speak in Japanese with you. That is a really great way as well. But because I was really frugal, I didn't want to spend any money, and it was really difficult for me to find any Japanese friends to practice Japanese with, to be honest. Now, you can't just look at anything and then just think in Japanese, right? At the start, you will first think in your own native tongue, right? Maybe let's say your native tongue is Mandarin, you would think in Mandarin, and then you'll have to translate that into Japanese, and that's okay. That's how I did it in the first. But now I can fully think in English. I don't need to like think in Chinese and then translate it into English. I can do it natively now. My brain is tuned to that way of thinking, and I'm pretty sure I can almost do it in Japanese as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if it didn't work, don't sweat it. There's plenty other ways. It's just how I did it. I found it really effective. But if it doesn't work for you, fine, you can use other methods. There's plenty of other learning Japanese videos out there, but this is just my way of doing it. I primarily did this video because I thought, I haven't seen anyone that has talked about this method. I've asked plenty of friends, and every time they ask me, how did you learn Japanese? How did you get so good at Japanese? I would just tell them, I talk with myself. I think in Japanese. That's all I do. They would just be like, oh, but that doesn't sound really effective. So yeah guys, just do it. Don't be afraid. Hope you guys all the best and good luck on your Japanese learning adventure. Hope to see you guys on the other side, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!